criticizing the president is all part of politics, right? But some of the language used to criticize the Obama administration certainly raises questions. Joining me to talk about it, Sherry Jacobus, Republican strategist and columnist for The Hill, and Mark Lamont Hill, professor at Columbia University. Thank you both for being here. Sherry, let me start with you. The president involved in a shakedown of BP, of all companies. Now, you know how coded language can be. You know, this language, calling the operation a shakedown operation, it certainly paints the president as some kind of common thug. What did you think of the comment, and was the apology the right thing to do?
Well, the comment certainly wasn't supported by other Republicans. It was a mistake. It was the wrong thing to say for Congressman Barton to say. I think that much is clear. And he apologized, but he's right. I mean, people are right to give him some heat for this. And the Republican leadership was very quick to jump in and very disciplined. You know, the Republican Party is much more disciplined than it was just a few years ago. I don't read anything specific into the term shakedown to me to indicate that he meant thug. But I do think that the sentiments behind what he said were certainly wrong. He knows that now, and he didn't get a lot of support from his own party. There aren't people out there defending him. But I think to say that there was somehow coded language is probably looking, you know, a little bit too far into it. The comment on its own was bad enough, but I'm not going to read anything into using that word.
Okay, Mark, what do you read into it?
This is clearly coded language. I mean, if it were one time, I'd say that this is merely a coincidence. But for the last 2 years, 3 years even, really even since 2006, we've seen particular types of language used to describe the president and his behavior that often invoke notions of criminality, darkness, outsiderness, marginality. That's how they do. And so it's really interesting to see it happen again the other day. When you talk about a shakedown, that's the same language that's used to describe Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton when they often engage in relationships with corporations for civil rights activism. So once again, they're trying to invoke this notion of almost like a hustler, as opposed to someone who's doing what any good president should do, which is to fight on behalf of the most vulnerable and marginal people in the nation. And right now, it's people who are catching so much trouble down in the Gulf.
Well, Sherry, will you acknowledge that this is something more than just brass knuckle politics anymore? Congressman Joe Wilson, as you know, calling the president a liar. This imagery of a shakedown. What is going on here?
Look, you got to look at the history of every president that's come under fire for their performance, poor performance, good performance that people disagree with, and the language has always been rough. And I don't think that it even at this point helps the president. I think the administration knows this. When people want to maybe be a little bit too sensitive and read more into it than is there. He is the president of the United States. He's being judged on his performance, which these days is very poor. His poll numbers are very low, and he's being judged as a president. And I think that we are now really getting, as a nation, a little bit tired, a little bit weary of people trying to read something into it, screaming whether it's racism, whether they're claiming he's a Chicago thug, all of these things. This president is being judged on his performance. And if he starts, or his supporters start whining about it too much, he looks weak. So he's got to start being stronger, and he's got to be accountable for his own performance.